lesson today will be more frequently than anything on your back. And so come lie on your back. So the question is, with the time that we have, how do we use it? Do we use it in such a way that we're present in the moment? Or are we thinking of all these other things I got to attend to? And when we're present in the moment, not only are we in the here and now, where we have the possibility of creating choices, but we can also really begin to notice. And the slower we can go, especially in the beginning, we can notice, what am I doing? Because anything that we do, that's really, we just automatically do it. That's what's already wired into our nervous system. It's not wrong, but we didn't give a pause to think about, is there another way I can do it? Or I always do it that way. So it's familiar, feeling, sensing your contact with the floor. And do you start from the bottom, heels up? Or the top down? It's a process that creates the conditions for each one of us to learn through our own sensory and internal cues. And it's okay if you get confused, because that's a clear indication I'm not in my known. You just asked me to do something and I gotta slow it down to think, what did you just ask? Did that make sense? Throughout the lesson, there'll be times I'll ask you to bring your feet to stand, but at any time you decide, I want my feet standing, bring them to stand. Don't just keep them long if you feel, I want to bring my feet to stand. And if you do, what's the difference? Because eventually I will ask you to bring your feet to stand. Now place your hands to rest on your lower ribs. Your fingers will be sort of towards each other. Your elbows will rest on the floor. And that's a neutral. And as you rest, you just maybe with your hands at these lower ribs, the area of your upper belly, you become aware of your breathing. So the thumbs are with the four fingers and they're resting on the top of your lower ribs. That's it. That's where they go. And you just feel, am I comfortable? Make sure you're comfortable. And now very slowly, we're going to start with the right hand. I'm going to ask you to slowly rotate your right hand. Your right arm is involved in it. Elbow stays on the floor. So that imagine with your right hand, the pinky finger is going to stay in contact with you, but it's as if you were cupping or scooping up something with your right hand to turn it towards you. That's it. That's it. And then you return it back. The hand is soft, but you do that again. What is the action of as if you were bringing your palm towards you, scooping up something? What is it? Is it a robin's egg? Is it some water from a stream? We've done lessons like that. But the softening of your hand, is there a little folding that the palm of your hand, it has a little indentation there. It's a little cupped. Fingers are soft. And then you come back. Hand rests on the ribs. And you do it again. And as you do it, pay attention. Is there something that starts to happen, awaken in your head, in your eyes? Or are we not even paying attention to my head and my eyes? You do that movement soft and slow several times. And then the next time you put your right hand down on you again, place both of your hands on the floor beside you. Just if that little bit we did with the right hand, that one little movement repeated, but not as reps, but as an exploration, there's something different in the way your right shoulder blade, the right side, your right hand rests on the floor. It's a question. And you're making a comparison, the right side, the left. Is it just my hand, my forearm? Or did it trail inward further through you? Was it an internal cue that something within you, it relaxed? And now bring your hands back in this position. And now with the left hand, go ahead and again, you're rotating the palm, you're rotating the forearm, the elbow is on the floor, and you're bringing your palm of your left hand now in the direction that it's coming towards your face, but the pinky finger of the left hand remains on you. So a portion of the hand lifts away, and then you bring it back. Listen to how you breathe when you rotate that arm, the hand, so that that left palm comes in the direction of your face. And then how do you breathe when you return it onto the ribs again? Just as soft and easy. And you do it again. And is there something that you discern that happens in your head or your eyes? And is it different what your left hand is doing than when you explored your right? So once do the right, and then you lay it back onto your ribs, upper belly area, and then you do the left. So you're comparing. And what about your head, your eyes? What are they doing? Are they distanced, out to lunch, out to pastures, you hear me say? Or is there some awakening in your head and your eyes? What do you notice? And is there a difference in one hand compared to the other? It's that gentle cupping sensation. And then you lay both hands to rest again on the floor beside you. And this little bit you're doing, what are you noticing for you internally? Or the contact your hands make with the floor? And again, anytime you want legs standing, feet standing on the floor, knees organized towards the ceiling, or long, this is a choice, but your comfort rules. Bring your hands back to rest on the lower ribs, but it's the front of you so that the thumb and the forefingers, there's space between them. And now slowly with the right hand, reverse the rotation. And when you rotate, the thumb side is going to stay on you, but your palm will rotate so that it's going to be turned in the direction of your feet. And then you lay it back down. And notice there's a difference in how you organize your right palm when it rotates away from you. Does it have a feeling that the hand feels as cupped as it did when I suggested you rotate it towards you? Or is there a difference that it's as if the fingers open a little bit more? The palm isn't as cupped. It's different. You notice. Maybe it's not for you. Maybe it is. Do the fingers spread a little bit when you rotate, or spread away from each other? When you rotate the palm, right palm away from you, resting the thumb side on you. And then you come back and you place it flat on you, and you pause. And how do you breathe? And what do you discern happens in your head and your eyes as you rotate the right palm away from you? Is it the same thing if you discern something when you rotated the right palm towards you? So now go do that. Once you rotate the right palm towards you. How do you do that? It's the pinky side that stays on you. The thumb side comes away from you, and the palm is rotating towards your face. And then you lay it back down. And then you rotate that right palm away from you in the direction of your feet. And you discern, it's the right hand, the contour of your fingers, your hands, your palm. The difference, is there a difference when you rotate the palm towards you and it's the pinky side that remains on you, or you rotate the palm away from you and it's the thumb side that stays on you? Can you feel the difference in your forearm? Can you feel a difference in your elbow pivoting on the floor? Does it refer into your upper arm and your shoulder, your collarbone, your chest? And again, your head. What's happening in your head and your eyes? It's the right hand. Good. Now, rest that a moment. Notice what you notice. For a moment, bring your feet to stand. Now, place your hands back on the upper ribs. I'm sorry, it's the lower ribs, but on the solar plexus. Elbows are on the floor. And just a couple of times. So the hands are back on your lower ribs on the front of you. Elbows are bent. Hands are on you. Unless you're napping or you're choosing not to. The hands are resting on your lower. There you go. And you'll discern that comfortable place for you where you place them. And now just a couple of times, keep your hands there and just use your feet gently and tilt your pelvis a little up through the middle and a little down. Just easy, easy. As soft and easy as you were rotating your palms, that's as easy as I want the movement of the slight little depression of your feet into the floor, and you begin that little tilt of the pelvis up in one direction, through the middle, and then down. And notice when you tilt the pelvis up, what happens to your head and eyes? And when you tilt the pelvis down, what happens to your head and eyes? All right, now keep your feet standing. Blessings. Bless you. And now go ahead with the left hand and begin to slowly turn the left palm downward, rotating the hand. It does something in the forearm. Listen to the trail of movement settle through you. And then place the hand back on you. And then compare and rotate the left palm towards you. That's the pinky finger remaining on you. The thumb lifts. And listen to the contour of your hand when the palm is coming towards you, but the hand is staying on you. And then it flattens down. And then you change it and you rotate the palm. And it's the thumb side that stays on you and the palm is going away from you. If there's a change in the contour, the space between your fingers, the shape of the palm of your hand. And what are your head and eyes doing? Is there some correlation when the palm comes towards you, when the palm goes away from you, that you would think, where are my head and eyes going? And if I said, when you're turning the palm of your hand towards you, why would you do that? Would you want to look away from why you're turning your palm towards you, or would you want to look towards it? And when your palm goes away from you, where would your head and eyes go? And that other movement I introduced about the gentle tilting of your pelvis in one direction and the other, can you see a congruency in which way your pelvis would tilt, the shape of your spine, depending on this rotating of your palm towards you or away? Yeah. And then you pause and rest for a moment. The hands can stay on your belly. You can put them on the floor. You can lengthen your legs. You can keep them straight. You just notice. The noticing of ourselves, internally, externally, your contact with the floor, what's subtle but significantly changing. When there's confusion, I'm not sure what direction my head and eyes are there. Am I not letting them move? Do I welcome them into the movement? Do I have to do something to constrain them from moving? Or is that so habitual, known, I don't even realize I'm doing it? And now place your hands again back on the same area. They're the front of the lower ribs, elbows stay on the floor. And now at the same time, rotate both palms towards you. Then the palms rest on you. Well, there's space between the palm of your hand and you, but the pads of your fingers, the heel of your hand, feel that contact. And then you rotate your palms the opposite direction away from you. And it's the thumb side that rotates on you. And listen to the timing of the coordination. The idea, if you felt, oh, there was a global movement moving through me, through my spine, and which direction my head and my eyes would go. You're curiously trying to figure out, is there one that seems a little easier? It just doesn't seem like much work. Good. And then pause and rest a moment. Can you even feel in your shoulder blades, this subtle little rotation of the palm of your hands on you? Elbows grounded, not pushed into the floor, but resting. Does it even refer into your shoulder blades or your spine? That's the question. Now, bring your hands together, but interlace your hands. And now you can rest them on you, but with your hands interlaced, you might notice, now that they're interlaced, your elbows might be not so available to stay on the floor. That's fine. Maybe the elbows lift. Maybe they start to move away from the floor. Begin again, rotating the palms towards you with interlaced fingers. It's the pinky side that comes towards you. It's what happened to the hands, the interlaced hands, the palms. And then you reverse and you rotate the opposite direction. You might notice in one of those directions, your elbows want to do something different than the opposite direction. In one of those directions, do the elbows come away from the floor more and lift? And in the other direction, they sink a little bit, but might not get to the floor. Depends if you have really long arms, if you're long-armed, we'll call it. Feel. And again, your head and eyes. Where your eyes go, you will go. What's the sensation through your chest? And then pause and rest a moment. Now, there's another variation. I give you choice. You don't have to. But you could eventually play with interlacing your hands the non-habitual way. Try it for a moment. Interlace your hands the non-habitual way. But then this time, lift your hands away from your tummy, your solar plexus area, about an inch or two, so that your arm, that's it. And then rotate the arms this way. Non-habitual interlacing of your fingers, slightly elevated away from your chest so that you can roll the hands this way and that way. And just listen. They're not now resting on you, pinky side, thumb side. They're rotating above you, an inch or two or three, wherever it feels available. And feel that rotation through your hands, wrists, forearms, elbows, upper arms, shoulders, all of you. You've often heard me share the link through your spine. And if your pelvis was free to move, whether legs are long or feet are standing, which way would it move? And in which direction would you look towards the hands, and which direction would you look away from the hands? Good. And then just pause and rest again, another moment or two. I'm learning, as I shared with you, coping and dealing with the autumn, which is beautiful and yet for me a little depressing because it's shorter days, darker days, colder weather, wet. And yet I love the season, so I have to make peace with it. It's a life's lesson. How do I deal and cope with these thoughts, emotions, feelings? Life is full of lessons. This lesson today is a puzzle for your nervous system. So I don't just tell you, I suggest, I witness. Interlace your hands now, maybe the habitual way. Bring your hands higher away from your chest, but that there's still a link between your elbows, forearms, and hands, as if they're sort of parallel over your chest. And now even a little higher up, start the rotation of your arms, palms this way, palms that way, and giving a little bit more space between you and your chest with your hands. Can you feel there's a little bit more expressiveness in the shape of you, like a Chinese lantern? Are there moments that the elbows don't bend as much, or then they do bend, or that the hands lift a little bit more towards the ceiling or come a little closer to you? These are the questions I'm asking. And then very slowly begin to take your arms that are pretty much 90 degrees in your shoulder joint, slowly keeping the rotation constant. Slowly, at another tempo, begin to direct your rotating arms interlaced to the right. So the hands, that's a continuum. That's just the constant bass playing, the rhythm. That's one rhythm. And then you're journeying over to the right while you continue the rotation of your palms. And when you get to the right, as far as it feels comfortable, maybe some of you actually, you feel that the right elbow, right upper arm started to come towards the floor, you can reverse it and come back to the neutral. But throughout, like a ground base, those rotating hands interlaced is continuous while you're journeying further to the right and then back to the middle. Good. It's a little dance. And you get to decide how far away from your chest the rotating arms are, or how close. And then just pause for a moment. Notice your contact. Bring your left foot to stand, have your right leg long, and interlace your hands again, keeping them a higher distance over your chest. Think that they're, maybe out of the shoulder joints 90 degrees and parallel over your chest, or higher. You could think of like being a ballerina. Start the rotation of your arms, your hands, which rotate the arms. Feel it all the way through. Maybe have a connection of your head and your eyes with your hands, so that as now you start to journey, your rotating arms over to the right. When is it that something awakens in your left foot? And some of you might start to notice, wow, that facilitated something. Some of you, I see, already have the right elbow and arm on the floor, and it's as if the left elbow is right on top of it towards the ceiling. And then you come back. For others, they haven't gotten there yet. You might not. Just playful. What did that standing left foot afford? Was there a moment that the left foot actually pressed into the floor, not right away, but as the rotating arms are journeying to the right? And if your head, your nose, your chin are connected like a dowel stick to your rotating hands, so the more the arms go to the right, what's going on with your head and eyes? That's it. And then you slowly come back onto your back. And you rest. And there are many different variations I see as far as the amount of space of your rotating hands from your chest. They're your variations. You're feeling and sensing within yourself because you were given choice and freedom, one that you're preferring. That's the learning. Not that there's only one right way. Now, interlace your hands maybe the non-habitual way. Again, have them at least 6 inches to 8 inches above your chest. Some have a foot. Some have almost a foot and a half. Bend the elbows a little bit more. And now start the rotation and journey over to the left. Keep the rotation of the interlaced hands, palms towards you and away. That's the direction. And slowly, another tempo, journey over to the left. You go, and then you come back. You find your tempo, your pacing, and feel, now that I'm journeying over to the left, do I start to feel that at some point I'm rolling more into my left shoulder blade, but the right starts to sort of peel away a little bit? And when that does, what happens with my ribs on the right side or in my pelvis, my head and eyes? You go over to the left and you come back. And if it dawns on you that, something, I'm going to stand my right foot. Stand your right foot. And when is it that standing the right foot, as you're doing this rotation to the left, all of a sudden you go, wow, that really facilitated more of me yielding to the left. And maybe for some, you get to the point where the upper left arm and the elbow are on the floor. The left forearm is in the vertical, and is the right arm on top of it, the right elbow towards the ceiling, or a little diagonal. There you go. Beautiful. Good. And then the next time you come back onto your back, just let it all go and rest. This being in the present opens up our future, creating new and different ways of how we organize. And it sort of awakens, it dawns on us as we're in the process. I could do it this way. For a moment, bring your feet to stand, let your arms rest. Now, slowly, this is familiar for all of you, I know, but be in the moment. Gently depress into the right foot and allow the left knee, as you depress into the right foot, to yield to the floor to the left of you. The knee stays bent, the leg just opens to the floor. Maybe it doesn't make the floor, maybe it does. And then roll through your pelvis, bringing the left knee back into the vertical. And then depress into the left foot, shifting the weight over to your right buttocks, and yield the right bent knee out to the floor to the right. That's it. And feel what's happening in your pelvis, your lower back, the ribs, your shoulder blades, your chest. Good. Now, you keep your feet standing and interlace your hands however you would like, habitual or non-habitual. Have the elbows start bent. How bent they are is up to you. And start rotating your fists, your arms, your forearms, your palms, this way and that way. You find the tempo that's the ground base. And then slowly, head connected to your rotating hands, begin to journey your rotating arms over to the right. Take your time, it's a journey. Enjoy the journey. And whatever we just sort of did with our legs, well, you forgetting? Why would I have introduced that? When you make your journey to the right, however far you go, continue the rotating arms, organize yourself to come back onto your back. When you come onto your back, change your direction, go over to the left. The palms, the interlaced fingers are still rotating. That doesn't change. But now you're journeying, from this side to that side. And feel how you're organizing yourself, that all of you is enjoying this journey, getting to see everything that's going on in this area to the left of you, over in front of you, and to the right of you, as if you just made this lovely rainbow arcing movement over you from side to side. And there are times the arms open more, the elbows straighten more. There are times the elbows bend more, they come closer to you. Give them the freedom to be expressive. Good. The next time you come back onto your back, interlace, rest, lengthen legs if you'd like, and just take a rest. So as I'm offering you the lesson, I don't want to teach you, because for me, there's a gap between teaching someone and them awakening and learning, or making connections, connecting the dots, or finding the right piece of the puzzle that fits just perfectly into that spot. Bring your feet back to stand. And once again, just do that gentle little movement. Initiate from the feet, a little bit of a tilting of your pelvis up and then down, just to refresh that. It's a lovely movement. I like to think of it as a gentle little massage on our back. And especially when sometimes, we can feel muscles contracted and a little tight, just do it gentler, or don't go to the full degree. Just where it feels pleasant, not pressing or forcing. And then you pause in the neutral, keep your feet standing. Interlace your hands however you would like. Bring them over your chest. Start the rotation of your palms toward and away. But slowly begin to look at your hands and follow them as you keep the rotation going up and above your head, whether the arms ever come to the floor or they don't, I don't care, but the direction for you is safely, comfortably upward over your head. That's it. And then whenever you get to the point that that's enough, you bring them back, still rotating, where it would be forward of your chest, arms forward, rotating towards the ceiling. And you just keep watching them. And then start rotating your palms downward in the direction of your lower belly. That's it. And just be easy with it. Be easy with it. Because you'll feel, my wrists, my palms don't want to rotate as easy. The elbows, that funny articulation. Don't force, just where it's available. And then start this journey again up and down. The rotating hands interlaced, that's the ground base, that's a continuum. But the other tempo of the arms, listen to your shoulder blades, what's happening to them, because they're pinned to the floor. And I suggested you let your head follow, your eyes follow your hands instead of looking away from them. But those are variations on a theme too. That's it. What do you do in your feet when the head's going up, the eyes are looking up at the rotating hands? What happens to your back? Does it flatten? Does it arch? What do you do? And it's a puzzle also. What do we do when we're looking at our hands and we're taking the hands rotating down, interlaced? It depends what we do, whether our spine does this or does that. Good. Great. Then let it go and just rest. Notice your contact. Anytime, again, I'm going to restate, there is confusion. It's actually the awakening of the unknown. Something is beginning to, I don't know it. I thought it should be this way or that way. Why do you think in Feldenkrais we constantly give the answers? It depends. And it's the pelvis. But I also add in, it's the feet too. Because for sure, when we are standing in the vertical, walking, getting up off of a chair, sitting down, it's our feet. They have to be the base of our support that everything else is connected to. You can have your feet long, you can have your feet standing, legs long, or feet standing, knees bent in the vertical. There are variations on a theme. You can choose to interlace your hands habitually or non-habitual. And make sure that when you start, the hands are about whatever the distance from your sternum, your chest, that feels easy, that the elbows are flexible to fold, bend, and open. And now we did 4 cardinal directions. The first one was we went to the right. We also went to the left. We went up overhead, we went down. So please begin slowly, rotating of your arms, and slowly go and take your arms to the right. If you want feet standing, you know what to do. Wait a minute, when you get your arms to the right, which means the right arm, maybe the right elbow is resting on the floor or hovering over it, and the left is above it, then begin, while you're still rotating the palms, interlaced, gently begin to slide your right upper arm, your right elbow on the floor, a little bit downward towards your right hip, then back to the middle ground, 90 degrees-ish, and then upward on the floor. So you bias to the right, you stay to the right, and then you're sliding your right upper arm, forearm, upward as if to go overhead, and then downward as if to go towards your right hip. That's it, beautiful. And you do that a couple of times to feel you're sliding your right upper arm. The left is intertwined with it as they're rotating, but you're journeying and feel what your head and your spine is doing. The next time you get the arms upward, keep the rotation going until all of a sudden the arms, the rotating hands come more overhead. The right elbow will lift away from the floor. The hands do not have to touch the floor overhead. And then do a semicircle around over to the left side. And when all of a sudden you feel, oh, I've got enough to the left, and I think I feel my left upper arm, the elbow touch the floor or hover above it, start to do that same sliding while you keep the hands rotating of your left upper arm elbow sliding from upward on the left side of the floor to the middle ground and downward in the direction of your left hip. Just do that a few times. It's okay if the elbow, the upper arm hovers over the floor. They don't have to be dragged on it. Each one of you find. And do this circling now from the left as you travel back up overhead to the right, and then sliding once you get enough to the right that it's clearly onto the right, the upper right quadrant. Slide that right arm, elbow downward towards the right hip. You're still rotating these interlaced palms. And make this arcing. That's it. And if you feel, oh, as I start to go further down to the right, I want to let my right knee drop to the floor, my left foot is pushing, so be it. But if you keep the elbows too straight, you're limiting your ability for flexibility of rotating these arms. So don't just straighten the arm like a morning stretch. That's it. And do this. It's more than a semicircle you're doing. Beautiful. And then just everybody rest for a moment. Come back into a neutral ground and just let it go. Why do I say that? It's time to rest. And I saw some of the rotating of the hands get to a point where it said for me, I would need a rest. Yeah, so you feel, do your hands need a rest from this interlacing, this rotating? Yeah. You just feel your contact. Interlace your hands, habitual, non-habitual. Do the rotation over your chest. But now, slowly, do you want to have your feet standing? Do you want to have them long? Doesn't matter. It does, but it depends, but it's not right or wrong. It's just different. And now rotate your rotating interlaced hands downward in the direction of your belly. And then when you get there, do you want to go to the left or the right? So they're downward, and then journey them over to one side until you feel that side that you chose, right or left. Whoop, I feel the arm got onto the floor. And then start to slide that arm that's on the floor, right or left side, upward, overhead, when all of a sudden you go, nope, that arm that was on the floor, it lifted so that I could keep the rotation going overhead, and then overhead cross over to the other side. And feel how your head will roll. And when you feel up, I landed with that other arm on the floor, start sliding that arm downward in the direction of that hip, and then journey over your belly. The rotation of the hands will change whether they're lower down towards your belly, pubic bone, or higher up overhead. So just notice that rotation in one direction or the other is a little reduced. And you just honor it. You can do a smaller rotation. You can do a slower rotation. And now it's like around the world, but it's not 80 days. It's just take your time and allow all of you to be a part of it. Every part of you. Even if legs are long, feel that the legs could roll, that the pelvis rolls. If your feet are standing, can you feel how one yields so that the knee could go to the side, the other foot is in the vertical pressing, and then rolling through the pelvis? At some point, the knee comes back. When, if you're using your feet, your knees, do you feel the knees are in the vertical? In two of those directions, the knees are not fully in the vertical. One of them is out to the lunge, out to the side. But can you feel that when the arms are overhead or the arms are below, over your belly, that's when the knees are in the vertical. Beautiful. And then pause and rest. Notice your contact. And once again, if you interlaced your hands habitually, do them non-habitual. If you were doing non-habitual, do habitual. And reverse the direction you did. If you had your legs long, have your feet standing. If you had your feet standing, have your legs long, unless that's not comfortable. And reverse what you did. Were you going clockwise before? Now you go counterclockwise. Did you start below before? Now you start above. I like to think each of these cardinal directions could be in a direction on the compass, could be in specific cardinal direction on the clock. That's, and how big the circle is, you could reduce the circle. That's it. Feel the side of you as the arms go up just before the legs come back into the neutral, the arms come overhead. Listen to that sensation for your body. There's lengthening, there's twisting. Yeah, feel when a heel sort of grounds when the legs are long and the knee softens, and you yield to one side, and then you come back to your back, and then you yield to the other side. That's good. Complete it and come and rest. Now, every time you had your hands interlaced, I'm going to give an example of this in a moment. I just want you to rest. See, something awakens in me, dawns on me. Oh, I want to share that. So, you can have feet standing, you can have legs long. Interlace your hands your preferred way. And now lengthen your arms in front of you, 90 degrees to your torso, but the palms are facing your chest. Lengthen your arms like that lovely morning stretch, lengthening the backs of your hands towards the ceiling. Okay? So the elbows are straight, your hands are interlaced, the palms are towards your chest, the elbows are straight. We're not rotating. We're just lengthening the arms towards the ceiling. The elbows are straight. If the elbows are bent out to the side, you're doing something else, and that's fine. But I'm saying lengthen the arms. That's it. And do that morning stretch of like, lengthening. That's it. Feel? Does your chest sink in? It's towards the ceiling, 90 degrees. Did your chest sink in and your head hang back? Good. Now slowly soften your elbows to bend out to the side and invert the palms of your hands so they will turn towards the ceiling. And then do that same lovely morning stretch. And feel it's a little different in your shoulder girdle, in your chest. And then once, invert them, rotate them again so it's palm face down. So you can feel the difference this way. That's it. And then soften the elbows to bend out to the side so you can invert the palms. So then now the palms are going to go towards the ceiling and do that morning stretch. Good. See, this is the kind of stretch I'm talking about. And then decide which one you prefer. And without rotating the arms interlaced, take the arms overhead. That's it. And do that morning stretch overhead, wherever it goes comfortably, not forward towards the ceiling. Now it's over your head, over your head. That's it. And now just feel, did you have inverted hands, palms away from you, or the palms towards your head? Now soften the elbows to bend out to the side and change whether your hands are inverted or palms, and do the stretch there. Just asking you to compare the differences. And then slowly let go of your hands, bring the arms to the floor down beside you, and rest. So often you've heard me speak about lengthening. I'll speak about this lovely stretch, but I mean all of you, not just a static stretch where you're pulling on certain joint structures or tendons or ligaments, but a connection that you feel all the way in you. And from here, you can use the theme of the lesson to bend your feet. Maybe you want to interlace your hands, start that rotating of your palms, which means once they're inverted, once they're not, and roll yourself this way to one side until you feel you can release the interlaced hands, but one elbow is planted firmly on the floor. Maybe that forearm can come to the floor, and you transition yourself, whether to the right or the left, to come from there to sit. That's it. If you struggled, where were you looking? Did you give up looking in the direction you want to go and it made it harder? Where your eyes go, you will go. If your eyes are going in the opposite direction you want to go, you make it harder. Look, 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 look. Much easier, much easier. Good. And then from there, you bring yourself up. Look where you want to go. Don't look up. Look down. No. Look down when you want to come up. Make it easier. Look down and then you bring your head up instead of trying to crank your neck to look up. So I want to give you choices. Look down. Look down. Okay. Look down, hang your head, hang your head. Is that easier? And then come up. You have to decide for yourself. It's not my familiar. In the beginning, when it's not familiar, it's not as easy. And then just feel as you stand. If your preference is to stand with your legs close together, great. Then compare. What is sumo wrestler, what is very close together, and what is just right. But you have all of them as part of your repertoire. And enjoy your lesson for today. Interlacing hands, rotating around the world.